Good morning, students. Today we look into the topic of new devotional paths, dialogue, and descent in northern India. We have seen already that we had Vedic traditions, we had Puranic traditions, and then there was an arrival of Sufism in India and the Indian subcontinent, whereby the Islamic scholars, there were a lot of seekers of Allah who felt that the Islamic scholars had hijacked the whole faith of Islam, and it was very difficult for common people and normal people to really reach the path of Almighty, and that is why they started, because the whole thing was now bureaucratized, and then it was becoming power struggle game where the rulers, the emperors, the caliphs, all of them were having their own cooking and brewing, and there was nothing about Almighty or the glory of Allah at all. And that is why Sufism started, whereby they could just take his name, praise the Lord, and connect with the Almighty. And definitely one of the towering figures of that time, who was a contrarian, if I may call him, who actually preached that yes, all that you needed to reach the Almighty or the supreme power or the supreme Lord or the Great Father was just to look within you and just chant the name of the God in whichever way you would like to do that, and then the glory and the divinity would be yours. Many poet saints engaged in explicit and implicit dialogue with these new situations, ideas, and institutions. Let us now see how this dialogue found expression. We focus here on three of the most influential figures of the time, and definitely there is no bigger one than Kabir himself. Kabir, 14th, 15th centuries, is perhaps one of the most outstanding examples of a poet saint who emerged within this context. Historians have painstakingly tried to reconstruct his life and times, because it was never sure where Kabir came from, who were his actual parents. Because students, you have to understand, in those years there were no Aadhaar cards, right? So we always had to grapple with there are a lot of great historical figures where their birth, about their parentage, their lineage is sometimes disputed, and it gets ambiguous beyond a point, and Kabir was one of them. Similar with Sai Baba and so many others actually. Verses ascribed to Kabir have been compiled in three distinct but overlapping traditions. The Kabir Bijak is preserved by the Kabir Panth, the path or the sect of Kabir, in Varanasi and elsewhere in Uttar Pradesh. The Kabir Granthavali is associated with the Dadu Panth in Rajasthan, and many of his compositions are found in the Adi Granth Sahib. See section 8.2. Where is that? Section point 2. Okay, we shall get here, students. Baba, Guru Nanak, and the sacred word. Yes, in section 2.2. All these manuscript compilations were made long after the death of Kabir. By the 19th centuries, anthologies of verses attributed to him circulated in print in regions as far as Bengal, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. So, what they are essentially saying is that all the works of Kabir, whatever survives, of course, have been either preserved in Kabir Granthhavali or, of course, the Kabir Bijak and the Adi Granth Sahib. Students, Adi Granth Sahib, do not confuse it with the Guru Granth Sahib. Okay, Adi Granth Sahib, guys, if taking a bit of a, just to give you an idea, Adi Granth Sahib was the first, you can call it like the Old Testament and New Testament of Bible. Adi Granth Sahib came first because that was compiled by Guru Arjan Dev. Guru Arjan Dev was Guru Nanak Ji, Guru Angad, Guru. Guru Arjan was, in my opinion, the third Sikh Guru, and he was the one who compiled it during his time. Third, I think, third or the fourth, definitely. He was the one who compiled it during his time. So that was Adi Granth Sahib. Now, Guru Granth Sahib, that we all know as the holiest book of the Sikhs, that was compiled by Guru Gobind Singh Ji, the tenth guru of the Sikhs, and the last guru, the human guru, that is, of the Sikhs. So you have to understand that Guru Granth Sahib built on Adi Granth Sahib. Okay, so whatever was in Adi Granth Sahib remains as it is, but through these all many other years, Guru Gobind Singh Ji also added an enormous amount of work, because a lot of had also been done by the other Sikh gurus naturally. Okay, so Kabir poems have survived in several languages and dialects, and some are composed in the special languages of Nirguna poets, the Sant Bhasha. Others, known as Ulta Bansi, upside down sayings, are written in a form in which everyday meanings are inverted. These hint at the difficulties of capturing the nature of the ultimate reality in words. Expressions such as the lotus which blooms without flower or the fire ranging in the ocean convey a sense of Kabir's mystical experiences. Also, now guys, this is again a problem. Uh, for people like Kabir and the great ones like Nanak, and even our the great saints who wrote Purans and the Vedas, we try and approach those books. If you try and approach that, it's not a question of if, that is how we approach it, through the normal intelligence and logic, because we think we are smart enough, we are intelligent enough, and that's how we try to actually approach those topics and subjects, but then through logic, that is. But we have no idea about even the ABC of divinity or spiritualism, right? We all know about is that yes, there is a Bhagwan, and then probably there is an Allah, which when we would go into Hajj, and probably we'll do some Vaishno Devi and Jai Mata Di and something of that kind, and then we expect every secret which is there in these holy books to get unraveled in front of us. And with the kind of life which we lead, we want that we should be able to, the moment we read Kabir's poems and dohas, and the Rig Vedas and Artha Veda and the Purans and all these, we should be able to understand and grasp everything immediately, in spite of the duffers that we might be. Guys, that doesn't work that way. And that is why, because we have no spiritual experience at all. Now, people like Kabir or Nanak Dev Ji and so many the great Namdev, Baba Namdev, then Baba Amar Das, these kind of great saints wrote those things only when they had experienced God, divinity, spiritualism, when they had become extremely purified and refined souls, when then they started writing those that kind of stuff. So they were at a level of energy, and at a level of mind, whereby that was of an entirely different kind of variety compared to what ABC we are on. They were somewhere close to XYZ or somewhere, and we are on ABC, and we expect everything. It's like a class 5 student being given a book on particle physics or nuclear science, and how to make an atom bomb, and we expect him to, just because it is there in the Wikipedia, we think anyone can make atom bomb. That doesn't work, right? That doesn't work that way. And that is the reason why we encounter these complexities when we try and decipher and understand what these great saints have written. Also striking is the range of tradition Kabir drew on to describe the ultimate reality. These includes Islam. He described the ultimate reality as Allah, Khuda, Hazrat, and Pir. He also used the terms drawn from Vedic traditions: Alak, the unseen; the Nirakar, formless. Guys, Nirakar, again, Adi Shankaracharya, much before Kabir, has actually written great works on Nirakar Brahma. that is the formless Almighty and the formless power who runs everything. And before Adi Shankaracharya, it was Gautam Buddha and Vardhamana Mahavira who preached about the Nirakar Brahma, where they felt that there was, the whole divinity was without form, and ultimately you just had to pursue by just taking their names and just thinking about it, falling in love with it, and then you would be able to realize it. So even before Kabir did it, there were others in the great Indian tradition of saints, who had explored this reality. Brahma, Atma, etc. Other terms which mystical connotations such as Shabd, sound, or Shunya, emptiness, were drawn from yogic traditions. So it is obvious. Diverse and sometimes conflicting ideas are expressed in these poems. Some poems draw on Islamic ideas and use monotheism and iconoclasm to attack Hindu polytheism and idol worship. So it is essentially saying that yes, it praises a certain in certain verses. Kabir praises the monotheism, that is the idea of one god rather than many gods, which we all know that Hinduism is about, because some people in some part of India are about Lord Kartikeya, Lord Murugan, then Bajrang Bali, somewhere it's Ganpati Bappa, somewhere it's Shivji, somewhere it's Vaishnav. So you have Ma Durga, Ma Kali, all these things. You have so much of diversity in India, and that is why you have different gods. So that is what it is about. That is polytheism, and in certain dohas verses, Kabir has been critical about this and has been talking about just one ultimate reality, the Brahma, the Nirakar. Because he was not about, Kabir was not about, any. He didn't have any fascination to a particular god or something. So, and which we would see that I'm sure even Baba Guru Nanak, that is Guru Nanak Dev Ji, was also not about a particular god, though he was born as a Hindu. You have to understand that. And similarly, we have seen before Gautam Buddha born as a Kshatriya, but he was not about a particular god. And similarly, Vardhaman Mahavira, again born as a Hindu, but was not, align. He didn't align himself with a particular god at all. So diverse and sometimes conflicting ideas is expressed. So where all these composed by Kabir, we may never be able to tell with certainty. Although scholars have tried to analyze the language, style, and content to establish which verse could be Kabir's. Now, the reason why we are talking about this as students, because there are a lot of dohas where you might feel that it is contradicting to each other, maybe with some other doha, and then it's talking about something else. It's like some other doha says, say for example, watch as a timekeeper. But some other doha says, watch is something which where I collect water. Now, if it comes from the same person and it's in the same book, naturally a reader would doubt it, or a listener would doubt it. कि यार ये what kind of contradiction or paradox is this? In some place it's written it's a timekeeper, somewhere it is written it is used to collect water. But that is what I said in the beginning. We see it from the terms of a normal intelligence, someone who is the level of A or B, or probably not even that. We may merely be starting, and we are talking about and trying to define it from someone, these great saints, these spiritual masters, who are probably at the level of XYZ. Now, it could be very much the fact that yes, time is here considered to be because water, because time is fluid, water is fluid. And similar way, time never stops moving. Similarly, water never stops moving, and there could be a connotation and a connection. But then for people like us who are at the basics, we would never be able to say it for sure. And sometimes that is the reason why sometimes people feel that certain dohas could have been written by Kabir, but certain dohas could have been written by his disciples, and over a period of time, all of that was collected into one piece, and we think all of them were composed by Kabir. Could be a very valid logic and an explanation, but it is also possible that Kabir himself wrote all of them, or said all of them, or chanted all of them, because of the simple reason, as I said, you can never, speak for these great spiritual masters. Thanks.